Hi, it's Alaska Granny. 2021 continues to bring all kinds of challenges to us, including on the availability of our food supply. Because of the high heat and the drought, many orchards full of trees are being torn out because they don't have the water for the trees. Do you realize that a tree is a decades-long investment in having a crop? You can't just then replant a new crop of, say, almond trees next year and hope to have almonds anytime soon. It takes decades for trees to become fully grown and to be productive. Grapevines are also being torn down, so that can be a concern if you are a wine drinker. Raisins also come from grapes, and we wouldn't want our supply of raisins to become at risk. What are some foods that you should consider adding to your prepper pantry and your food storage stockpile to make sure that you have those items should they become in short supply or extremely expensive? Stock up on some dried fruit. Dried fruit can be stored in an airtight container and it can last several years past the date that's on the package, but you need to be sure that it's airtight and you store it in a cool, dark, dry place. You can do something as simple as put your dried fruits into a canning jar, put on the lid, and you can vacuum seal it if you want, but don't add an oxygen absorber to dried fruits because they're not dry enough, like beans, rice, oatmeal, grains. They have a high moisture content, and an oxygen absorber removes more of the air than, say, vacuum sealing. You risk botulism. It can only grow in a completely air-free environment, so you don't want to remove all of the oxygen from your dried fruits. Nuts are another great food item to stockpile because they can last for several years. You want to store them airtight, and you want to make sure that you also store your nuts in a cool, dark, dry environment. Nuts have a high oil content, and so they're not going to be able to store for more than a few years. The better you store them, the longer they last, but they just can't last for the longest term because the oils that are naturally occurring in them begin to go rancid. So storing the nuts in the freezer can help slow that process. Just like other foods, make sure you check your nuts to be sure they're still fresh. Don't just set them aside and expect them to last for decades. It's not possible to make them last forever. When you're stockpiling your prepper pantry, it's supposed to be a working pantry. You're supposed to be working your way through it. You need to be rotating these foods. And yes, they can last for a few years, but not forever. You need to be rotating them and replacing them. I like to get the Imperial nut packages from the Dollar Tree, but what I've noticed is the ones that have nuts in them, the nuts go out of flavor. They don't taste that well. They don't last nearly as long as the fruit that's in these. That yes, they'll still last to the date on the package, and if you try to store them as airtight as possible, then that can help extend that a little while. My strategy has been to look for the ones that are mostly fruit, because then if there's an off-tasting nut in there, there's just a few of them, and it's easy to discard those, and most of the dried fruit tastes great for several years beyond the date on the package. So if you have a choice, look for something like the protein blend, which has a lot of dried fruit, rather than the energy blend. And if they have other ones, look them over and see, does it have more dried fruit than nuts? And those are going to last longer in my experience. Granola is another great food to have in your prepper pantry, and lots of times it includes nuts and dried fruits, and so that might be something you want to stock up on while you have a chance. Augustin Farms has granola that's very good, that is already sealed up in a can that can last, I think, 15 years. It's very good. You can set it away in your pantry and know that it's going to last for a long time. But if you buy other types of granolas, you can store them in airtight containers, and you can even use your vacuum sealer, but you need to then know that they're only going to last still a few extra years. They're not going to last forever because they contain natural oils, and then there's nuts and things in them, and those foods are not going to last as long as, say, a bucket of rice. My favorite cooking oils are olive oil and canola oil, and those are becoming difficult to find and extremely expensive. Canola crops have been lost in Canada, and olive oil comes from olive trees, which once again, we're having problems with orchards. Most of our olive oil is imported. So you want to make sure that you're looking for a top quality and that you have enough that's going to last you perhaps a year or two. Oils don't last forever in your pantry either, so don't get more than you can reasonably use in a year or two. As you use your oil, buy another bottle, put it at the back of the shelf. First in, first out. Push the old bottles to the front and put the new bottle in the back, and that way you'll be rotating your food. Because of the drought and unseasonable heat waves, we know that animals have been slaughtered. There isn't food for the animals over the summer. There just isn't. The pastures are dried up, and the hay that would be harvested to feed them in the fall and next winter is just not producing as it should. So stock up on canned meat. You can get a huge variety: chicken, turkey, pork, beef, Spam. You can even find lots of different kinds of seafood, from tuna, clams, shrimp, all kinds of different types of meats. Go through the meat and look it over and see if there's foods that you like. If you see one you're not sure what it is, buy one and take it home and try it. If you like it, go back and get more. Don't stock up before you know if you're purchasing a food that you know how to cook it, that your family likes it, and that you're all willing to eat. You might have noticed the price of canned tomato products going up dramatically in the store, and there are fewer of them when you shop. There's been a shortage of cans, and so lots of the fresh tomatoes that would normally go to the canneries are being wasted. They become ripe and they don't have the cans to put them in, and then they end up going to waste. Now think about it, not just tomatoes, tomato sauce. There's so many products that include tomatoes, so you might want to be looking those over too. Think of all the tomato products: pasta sauce, enchilada sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce, salsa. There are lots and lots of products that include tomatoes in them, and those might be things that you want to look through and see which ones does your family enjoy eating. Stock up so that you know you'll have enough if they become unavailable or the price increases so much that they become unaffordable. The last time I shopped, I was able to only find 4 cans of diced tomatoes in a can that were the store brand, and all of the rest of them were gone. They had some more expensive brands, but instead of 99 cents a can, they were $1.99 a can or $2.50 a can, which could become unaffordable for a lot of people. Stock up on the foods that you know you enjoy and you want to make sure that you have in the future. Being a prepper is just sensible. It's lifestyle insurance. We're making sure that we can provide the meals for our family no matter what the future brings. Teddy, you don't need to worry. I have treats for you. Yeah. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.